It is my privilege to open remarks on this important bill that targets a very real problem that is posed by criminal illegal aliens that come into the United States for one purpose, and that is to commit crime. While here, they commit crimes of every sort. After deportation, they often return to the United States to continue committing crimes that harm Americans in every corner of the country. Our tolerance for this as a country and the ongoing harm that is posed by this class of illegal immigrants has fully expired, and this bill reflects that reality. First, let me begin by commending Congresswoman Bice and Senator Cruz for their dedication to this important issue and their tireless work in crafting excellent legislation, striking at the heart of this crisis that has yielded countless victims. The original version of this bill was drafted several years ago after a 32-year-old woman was tragically shot and killed by an illegal alien who had multiple felony convictions and had been deported from the United States 5 times. Tragically, her case is not an outlier. This has become far too common. As a federal prosecutor, I investigated, tried, and convicted many individuals who had been deported 2, 3, even up to and beyond 10 times. Yet they continued to illegally return with the intent to commit crime here in the United States. When speaking to these individuals, it was quite interesting to me because they became quite candid. They simply told me deportation alone was no deterrent for them returning here to commit crimes. Further, given the sophisticated criminal infrastructures that exist in large part due to unchecked migration and decades of open borders, returning to the United States for these committed criminals is something that is far too easy and far too profitable. For these committed criminals, it is a simple cost-benefit analysis. There is little risk in re-entering the United States and a very high likelihood of profiting from criminal activity. The current law and the status quo lets illegal immigrant criminals off far too easy. Without a change in the law, they will continue to enrich themselves through crime in our communities, bringing with them murder, rape, property crimes, drug trafficking, organized retail theft, human trafficking, and of course the threat of terrorism. The legislation that I, along with Congresswoman Bice and Senator Cruz, put forth draws a hard line. We will no longer tolerate illegal immigrants who disregard our sovereignty and our laws and are involved in never-ending crime that harms the American people. With the tools in this bill, law enforcement will now have a set of tools that will make it more efficient and easier to dismantle organized crime rings across the country. And most importantly, it will employ a deterrent to those hoping to illegally enter the United States to continue to commit crime. Utilizing my experience prosecuting these criminals, I worked with Ms. Bice and Mr. Cruz to propose the following simple measures. If you are here illegally and you commit a felony and you are convicted of a felony, that alone makes the illegal alien eligible for a separate federal offense that carries a minimum of 5 years in federal prison. Secondly, rather than capping the sentence for illegally re-entering, so after deportation, if you illegally re-enter the country, the current cap is at 2 years. The new maximum will become 10 years for all illegal re-entries, regardless of your criminal history. If an illegal alien is convicted of any felony, deported, and then illegally re-enters the country a second time, they immediately qualify for a federal charge that carries a minimum of 10 years in federal prison and a maximum of life. The premise of this legislation begins with the reality that anyone who is in the United States illegally, who is guilty of criminal conduct. What triggers these penalties in this law is either illegal re-entry or the conviction of felonious conduct while you are here in the United States. Yes, we need the wall to be finished. Yes, we need deportations. The president has shown that these steps are essential and effective. However, these measures alone are insufficient to deter and properly punish committed criminals from around the world from coming back to the United States. The only aspect of American law that strikes fear in criminal aliens is mandatory prison time. I know this from firsthand experience. Only in this way can we send a message that we will no longer tolerate the victimization of Americans through illegal conduct by criminal illegal aliens. With this bill, we change the cost-benefit analysis for the criminals, who will now have to conclude that it is no longer worth it to come into the United States or to return to the United States to pursue illegal activity. It's time for the illegal immigrant criminals to know that our tolerance for their presence and their criminal behavior here is over. With that, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.